Hi guys, thank you so much for watching part 1 of the video. But before we go into part 2, I just want to talk about a little something. இது குறிப்பா நம்ம தமிழ் ஆடியன்ஸ்க்காக. ஸோ கமெண்ட்ஸ்லாம் படிச்சுட்டு இருக்கும்போது சில பேர் தமிழில் பேசுகிற மயிறு அப்படிலாம் திட்டினீங்க. தட்ஸ் ஃபைன். சில பேர் அதை டிஃபெண்ட் பண்ண வந்தீங்க. 2 பேருக்கும் நன்றி. ஆனால் எங்கள் சைட்லேருந்து ஒரு சின்ன கிளாரிஃபிகேஷன். ஒரு வீடியோ இங்கிலீஷில் பண்ணுறதுக்கு காரணம் என்னன்னா, அது சீன் போடுறதுக்கோ இங்கிலீஷ் தான் பெருசு, தமிழில் பேசினா லோக்கல் அப்படிலாம் ஒரு மயிரும் இல்லை. ஒரு வீடியோ இங்கிலீஷில் எதுக்கு போடுறோம்னா, சில வீடியோஸ் தமிழில் ஒர்க் அவுட் ஆகும், சில வீடியோஸ் இங்கிலீஷில் ஒர்க் அவுட் ஆகும். இந்த மாசத்துல 2-3 வீடியோஸ் இங்கிலீஷில் வரும். இட்ஸ் ஒன்லி பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் ட்ரைங் டு கெட் அ வைடர் ரீச். ஆனஸ்டா சொல்றேன். குறிப்பா இந்த வீடியோ எதுக்கு இங்கிலீஷ்ல போட்டோம்னா, இந்தியன் ஃபிலிம்ஸ் பத்தி பேசும்போது பாக்கி ஸ்டேட்ஸோட ஆடியன்ஸ்க்கும் புரியணும்னு நாங்க நினைக்கிறோம். அண்ட் இங்கிலீஷ் இஸ் தி ஒன்லி காமன் லாங்குவேஜ் தட் வே. வேற ஒண்ணுமே இல்லை. எங்களோட வீடியோஸும் தமிழ்ல தான் ஆரம்பிச்சோம். தமிழ்ல பேசணும், நம்ம மொழி மேல ஒரு அன்பு இருக்கணும். ஆனா தமிழ்ல மட்டும்தான் பேசணும்னு சொன்னா அது அன்பு இல்லை, அது வேற ஏதோ. அது என் ஒப்பீனியன். தட்ஸ் வாட் ஐ ஃபீல். பட் யாராவது ஹர்ட் பண்ணனா I'm very sorry about that. So வீடியோஸை என்ஜாய் பண்ணுங்க. உங்களுக்கு கிரிட்டிசைஸ் பண்றதுக்கு எல்லா ரைட்ஸும் இருக்கு, திட்டுறதுக்கும் எல்லா ரைட்ஸும் இருக்கு. ஸோ do whatever you're doing, but let's try to keep it healthy. ஆனால் இதுக்கு மேலே பேச தேவையில்லைன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். Let's get back to part 2 of the 15 best Indian films of 2018.
There are some films that make you wonder how they would have been pitched to a production house. How do you narrate a film which has a rather unlikable protagonist who visits the hospital every day and nothing much else happens? See, that's the beauty of cinema, because eventually it's not the story that matters, it's the storytelling. October is one such film where nothing really happens on screen but makes you feel like something has happened in your own life. If there's one thing I really want in life, it's to read what this script by Juhi Chaturvedi looks like that made a star like Varun Dhawan choose to do this after Judwa 2.
Bhabhi डर गई.
October is a film that pulls your heart out, puts it in a time machine and sends it back to a place in your childhood when you'd get emotional about anything. Thankfully, I went to watch this movie by myself and none of my friends could see my eyes sweating. Without going into too much detail, because we don't want to die, our country is going through a phase where religious tension is at its peak and anything can offend anyone. There are forces that are trying to make the 2 major religions of the country hate each other for the sake of personal profit. And that's why Anubhav Sinha's Mulk is such an important and relevant film in these dark times. Based on a true story about a Muslim family trying to regain its lost honor when a family member takes to terrorism, Mulk is like a mirror to a society that we can't look away from. It takes guts to even conceptualize a film like this today, and thankfully the audience walked right behind the team and turned this small film into an alarm that we can't seem to snooze anymore. What do you do when you're old enough to get married, but suddenly learn that your middle-aged parents are expecting another child? This simple, hilarious one-liner is what Badai Ho is all about. One earth-shattering news, many perspectives. It's a story that makes us immediately relate to the protagonist because as Indian children, we're completely close to the idea of our parents having sex, and just the thought of it makes us cover our faces in embarrassment. Made on a budget of 28 crores but grossing more than 200 crores at the box office, Badai Ho is an extremely funny, extremely heartwarming take on the modern Indian society that's stuck in the past. Ayushmann once again picks the perfect script to continue his dream run, but in this film, it's the parents, that's played by Gajraj Rao and Neena Gupta, who are the real protagonists and steal the show. It'll be interesting to see how this could be remade in Tamil with someone with a family appeal like Sivakarthikeyan playing the lead. Those who know me personally are aware of how mindlessly obsessed I am with the 90s. While I may have a soft corner for anything remotely related to that decade, Prem Kumar's 96 is so much more than just an emotional manipulator. It's a trip down memory lane, a love story, a friendship story, a heartbreak story, and so much more rolled into one beautiful tale of unrequited love, shouldered by the spectacular duo of Vijay Sethupathi and Trisha. Apparently, Prem Kumar wrote the entire script of the film within 5 days during the Chennai floods. And the film is kind of a metaphorical reflection of that time. It's a flood of emotions. 96 is that box of memories every nostalgic soul possesses. Things from the past that make your heart ache, but it's a pain that you want to feel over and over again. Each one of us has lived the journey of Ram and Janu in some way or another, and that's why the film feels like watching our own life on screen. And when it comes along with 2018's most beautiful music album, there's no doubt about it being this high in everyone's list. Serial killer stories are a dime a dozen, and there are hundreds of references to make such a film today. However, director Ram Kumar's film begins with these references and news clippings itself, with a protagonist who's an aspiring filmmaker wanting to make a film about serial killers but fails and takes up a job as a cop instead. With a runtime of almost 3 hours, Rachasan is easily one of the most uniquely engaging murder mysteries in this part of the country, drawing the youth, elders, and even families into the theatres irrespective of its subject matter. And you know a film is great when it has a strong antagonist. And Rachasan's antagonist is probably one of the most creepiest, scariest villains in a long time. And that's all you need to know before watching it. My only regret when it comes to this film is that I saw it really late. Pariyerum Perumal is one of those few films that talks about an issue a lot of us shy away from talking about, the great Indian caste system. But where other films end up preachy or with hidden agendas, Pariyerum Perumal is a story of a boy unwilling to accept his so-called fate and how he wins his enemies and us with love. Whether you've been oppressed or even indirectly been an oppressor, this film will leave you questioning yourself and humanity in the end. The only reason why this masterpiece isn't higher up in this list is because of its slightly lower rewatch value as compared to the first 2 films. I think the first time Vada Chennai was announced was around 7-8 years ago, with Simbu supposed to playing the lead, and as a Vetrimaran fan, I was instantly hooked to this project. The years passed by and I slowly lost hope, until the project got a CPR revival and was re-announced as a trilogy with Dhanush playing the lead and the producer. Usually when you've been waiting for something for too long, your expectations are shattered with an unworthy product, but let's face it, it's Dhanush and Vetrimaran we're talking about here. What we got in the end was a fantastic, rich, character-driven experience that blends Gangs of Wasseypur and Tarantino's best films in a story about a locality and the thousands of lives that are connected to it. This film is another you to the system, the censor board, and the way a film is supposed to be written. Whatever we try to say about Vada Chennai is less, and that's why we made an entire video about it, and you should probably check it out after this one. The link is there in the description. All said and done, Vada Chennai is number 2 on our list for now, because the story is not over yet. When one of my favorite actors, Ayushmann Khurrana, decides to do a film, I'm intrigued. When one of my favorite directors, Sriram Raghavan, decides to cast him in it, I'm excited. When the plot of their film is a blind man witnesses a murder, I'm sold. I walked into Andhadhun thinking it'll be a dark film like most of Sriram Raghavan's work, but quite honestly, it's the most fun I've had at the movies in a very long time. A crazy plot with a crazier screenplay and a gorgeous but also crazy taboo makes Andhadhun an instant classic that can be rewatched 1,000,000 times even if you know all the twists and turns. It's like a Hitchcock film on cocaine, especially the main murder sequence in the first half that is a separate film in itself. If you've not watched it yet, firstly slap yourself and then get a Netflix account and watch it right now. My favorite film of the year, hands down.
So that was my personal list of the 15 best Indian films of 2018. If it doesn't match up to your expectations or it doesn't match your rankings, that's completely alright, because it's supposed to be different. We have to have a difference of opinion. Only then can we have some discussion. If I'd missed out a few films, it either means that I either didn't watch those films or maybe I didn't like those films. Or there are lots of movies that came close but didn't make the list, like example Man Marziyan or Mukkabaz, Tumbad, for a few. Like to state a few examples. But that's exactly the point. I want you guys to tell me what your top 15 is and what could have been included, what should not have been included. Please go wild in the comment section and please like, share and subscribe to Fully. Hope you guys keep supporting our future videos. We're going to do one video every weekday of this month. So we need all your support to keep it going. I don't know if you're going to do it or not, but let's hope so.
Before you go, don't forget to visit www.fullyfilmy.in and use the code FULLY100 to get 100 rupees off on a minimum cart value of $5.99. You can use it on our calendars too. And 4 videos down, we're done for the week. We'll see you on Monday.